All right, welcome to another deep dive. This time we're tackling the wild world of online music distribution. Specifically, how independent artists, just like you, listening right now, can actually make money from their music.
Right.
We've got this document all about selling music online, and we're going to use that to kind of trace how things have evolved, like where the money comes from these days, and why getting your music everywhere really, really matters.
It's a whole new world compared to even just a few years ago.
It is, and the crazy thing is this document takes us all the way back to 2006.
Oh, wow.
When the music industry was basically freaking out about illegal downloads.
Yeah, I remember that. It was a crazy time. The whole industry felt like it was on the verge of collapse. Nobody knew what was going to happen.
And in the midst of all that, we had iTunes kind of emerging as this, leader.
Yeah.
But it was mostly a closed system for, anyone who wasn't signed to a major label.
Oh, totally. If you were an independent artist back then, good luck getting on iTunes.
So you're basically locked out of one of the biggest platforms.
Exactly. And that really created this power imbalance, didn't it?
Oh, huge.
It was all in favor of the big labels.
And it left independent artists scrambling, what do we do?
Right, exactly. It was okay, so how do we get our music out there?
And then, bam, along comes TuneCore.
Game changer.
Total game changer. Our document highlights them as this turning point.
Because they completely disrupted the whole thing.
Disrupted everything.
It was like they said, hey, independent artists, you deserve a seat at the table too. They gave independent artists a way to get on iTunes, get on other platforms for a small fee. And the best part, keep 100% of your revenue.
100%.
Yeah. It was revolutionary, really. It democratized the whole distribution process.
It really leveled the playing field.
Big time.
Suddenly, independent artists, they had the same access.
And the same channels, the same potential reach as those big, huge labels.
Yeah, and it wasn't just about access, though, was it?
No, it was something bigger.
It was about control.
Control, exactly. TuneCore gave artists the power to take charge of their careers. They didn't have to rely on getting signed anymore to reach a wider audience.
Cut out the middleman, be your own boss.
Exactly. It was a huge shift in the power dynamic of the music industry.
So, okay, we've established things have changed, right? At least as far as distribution goes. But how does an independent artist actually make money from their music in this crazy digital world?
Well, it's still a mix of downloads and streams.
Okay.
Downloads haven't completely disappeared,
Right.
Our document uses the example of a 99-cent single on iTunes.
Okay.
Apple keeps 29 cents. And the artist gets 70 cents.
70 cents.
But the thing is, with TuneCore, the artist keeps the whole 70 cents.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Because, you think, a few cents here, a few cents there.
Right. It might not seem like much.
But over time, it adds up.
It totally does, especially as your catalog grows and you're getting more and more downloads. Those differences in payout can really impact your bottom line.
Yeah.
It's like choosing a bank account, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't just pick the first one you see. You'd compare interest rates, fees, all that stuff to find the best one that fits your needs.
Smart.
It's the same with music platforms.
So you got to shop around, figure out what works best for you.
Yeah. Research is key.
All right, so downloads are still kind of hanging in there.
They are.
But obviously streaming is king these days.
Oh, yeah. No question about it. Streaming has totally transformed how people listen to and discover music.
Yeah, and for a lot of artists, it's probably the most confusing part of the revenue equation.
I get it.
How do you even make money from streams?
Yeah, right.
Especially with, free services like Spotify out there.
Well, there are actually two main revenue streams for artists from streaming.
Okay.
You got advertising and subscriptions. So with the freemium model, like Spotify's free tier, they generate revenue through ads. You know those ads that play during your listening sessions?
Oh, yeah.
And artists get a portion of that advertising revenue based on how many times their tracks are streamed.
Okay, got it.
And then you have the paid subscription platforms like Spotify Premium and Apple Music. Here, a portion of those subscription fees goes into a pool, and that's distributed to artists based on their share of total streams.
So every stream counts.
Exactly. Even if it's on a free platform, each play adds to an artist's earnings.
That's good to know because it can get kind of like, I don't know, mysterious,
Yeah.
Where's the money coming from?
Definitely. It's not always transparent, but the key takeaway is that every stream matters.
This kind of ties into what our document calls discovery, right?
Yeah, discovery.
Think about how Spotify just seems to, like, know what you want to hear next.
Right. It's kind of creepy sometimes how accurate those recommendations can be.
It is. So that's powered by algorithms.
Right. They analyze your listening habits, trying to create a personalized experience, and that ability to connect listeners with artists they might not have found otherwise is really powerful.
It's like having a personal DJ in your pocket.
Exactly. And playlists are a big part of that too.
Playlists? Yeah, we got to talk about those.
They're crucial for independent artists, especially. I mean, getting featured on the right playlist can dramatically increase your reach.
And that's what it's all about, right? Exposure.
Exposure, yeah. Introduce your music to thousands, maybe even millions of potential new fans.
It's like prime real estate on a busy street.
Exactly. Suddenly you're visible to tons of people who might have never even noticed you before. It's a game changer.
So, okay, we talked about breaking through the noise.
Mm-hmm.
Our document makes a really strong point about distribution.
You got to get your music everywhere.
Everywhere. Don't limit yourself.
Exactly. Why would you?
And they have this great example of an American indie band. They potentially gained a whole following in South Korea through KKBox, which is this popular streaming service in Asia.
See, you never know where your next big fan base is going to come from.
Exactly.
If you limit yourself to just a few platforms, you could be missing out on connecting with a whole world of potential listeners.
And at the end of the day, wider distribution means more potential revenue. Right?
Absolutely. More people hearing your music, the more opportunities you have to make money from streams, from downloads, maybe even merchandise sales. It's about building a sustainable career as an independent artist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's not just about getting that one-hit song. It's about creating a career that can last.
So reaching as many fans as possible, that's key for the long term.
Exactly. It's the foundation for everything else. But there's another side to this, a mindset shift that a lot of artists miss.
Ooh, okay, what's that?
It's about money.
Money.
And how we think about it as independent artists. Our source touches on this idea of money as a necessity. And I think it's a really important point because it challenges that whole like romanticized, starving artist image.
Right. Like you're not supposed to talk about money if you're an artist.
Yeah, there's almost a stigma around it.
Like it compromises your integrity or something.
Exactly. But the truth is, creating and sharing music, it takes resources.
It's a job, isn't it?
It is.
You need studio time, you need equipment.
Marketing, touring, just basic living expenses.
Right. We got to pay rent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not about like chasing fame and fortune. It's about being able to sustain yourself so you can keep doing what you love.
So money is a tool.
Yeah, it's a tool that enables you to pursue your craft. Yeah. And platforms like TuneCore, they've been crucial in empowering artists to take control of their finances and build careers on their own terms. Mm-hmm. But it's not just about distribution, right? It's about understanding the business side of things.
The business of music.
Exactly. Yeah. Knowing your contracts, understanding royalties, figuring out marketing.
All right, so there's a lot more to it than just making the music.
There is. And that brings us to another crucial piece of the puzzle, marketing and promotion.
Oh, yeah.
Because getting your music on all these platforms, that's just step one.
Right. So what's step two?
You got to promote it. You got to engage with your fans if you want to stand out in this crazy, crowded digital world.
So in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to get into the world of digital music marketing, right?
We are.
Unpack some strategies to help you reach your audience and build a thriving music career.
It's going to be good. All right, as we dive deeper into this world of digital music marketing, it's important to remember each platform's kind of like a business, right?
All right.
They have their own goals, their own priorities.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's easy to just get caught up in like the excitement of, oh, I can get my music out there.
Right.
But taking a step back and thinking about how these platforms work, it can give independent artists a real advantage.
Strategic thinking. I like it.
Yeah, so like iTunes, for example. Okay. They're all about downloads, right? Mm-hmm. So they're probably going to prioritize artists who've already proven they can sell.
Makes sense.
They want to make sure they have quality content that people will pay for.
It's like a really, really carefully curated, like, vintage record store.
Exactly. They're not just throwing anything up there.
Right, right.
They're looking for artists who already have a fan base who've demonstrated that they can sell music.
Okay, so quality over quantity for iTunes.
Pretty much. Then you've got the streaming giants like Spotify, completely different story.
Okay, how so?
Spotify, it's all about discovery.
Discovery.
And volume. They want to have everything.
Everything.
Yeah, they want to cater to every single musical taste out there, so they need a huge library.
Right, and that's where those algorithms come in. Right.
Exactly. They're analyzing what you listen to, what other people who like similar music are listening to.
Trying to personalize that experience.
Yeah, trying to create the perfect listening experience for each person. And it's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It is, because listeners are exposed to new artists, and artists can reach a global audience.
It's a win-win, right?
It seems like it.
But it's not a perfect system, is it?
No system is perfect.
Right.
And with algorithms, there are always questions of fairness.
Yeah, like how can an artist, especially someone just starting out, make sure they're not getting lost in the shuffle?
That's a great question. And that's why it's so important for artists to be proactive.
So it's not just about uploading your music and hoping for the best.
No way. You have to understand how to work with these algorithms, how to make your music more discoverable.
So like what can they do?
Well, metadata is a big one.
Metadata.
Yeah, things like your song titles, genre tags, your album art, making sure all that's accurate and really reflects your music.
Okay.
It's kind of like SEO for your music.
Search engine optimization, like for websites.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You want to use the right keywords and tags so that the algorithms can connect your music with the right listeners.
So you got to speak their language. Yep. Got to speak the algorithm language.
That makes sense.
And then, of course, there's playlist pitching, which we touched on earlier.
Right. Playlists, huge.
Reaching out to those playlist curators, getting your music on the right playlist, it can be a game changer.
Because it's like a trusted friend recommending something, right?
Exactly. People trust playlists. They see a song they like on a playlist they already listened to. They're much more likely to check it out.
It's like instant credibility.
Yeah, and that can translate to way more streams, more fans, more everything.
We got to talk about the free platforms, too, like YouTube, Bandcamp, SoundCloud.
Oh, yeah, those are important. Especially for emerging artists, I think.
Oh, makes them so great.
Well, it's easy to get started.
Okay.
You don't need a distribution deal. You don't have to pay any upfront fees. You just upload your music and start connecting with fans.
It's like a virtual open mic night, kind of.
I like that. Yeah, you can test out new materials, see how people respond.
Get that direct feedback.
Exactly. And Bandcamp even lets you sell your music directly to fans.
Cut out the middleman.
Exactly. Keep a bigger chunk of the profits.
So it's great for building a direct-to-fan connection.
Definitely. But, you know, there's a trade-off.
What's that?
You might not get the same kind of reach that you would on, like, a Spotify or Apple Music.
That makes sense. They're the giants.
Exactly. So artists need to weigh the pros and cons, figure out what aligns with their goals.
So it's about finding the right balance.
Yeah, using those free platforms to connect directly with fans, but also recognizing the power of those bigger services for reach and discoverability.
It's not either, it's both.
Yeah, use all the tools you've got.
Smart. Now, our document also mentions pre-orders.
Oh, pre-orders, yeah. Those are great for building excitement before a new release.
So how do those work?
Basically, fans can buy your album or your single before it officially comes out.
Okay.
So you're guaranteeing yourself some income right off the bat.
And it's a good way to kind of gauge interest.
Yeah, totally. The number of pre-orders you get can give you a sense of how well your music is going to be received.
It's like taking pre-orders for a limited edition product.
Exactly. Creates that sense of urgency, exclusivity.
And it gives you valuable data.
Data is king.
So, you know, we've talked about all these different platforms, all these different strategies, and it's clear this digital music landscape, it's constantly shifting.
It's changing, yeah.
It can feel overwhelming, especially if you're an independent artist wearing all these different hats.
Yeah, you're the musician, the manager, the marketer, everything.
Right. So our document really emphasizes staying informed.
Yeah.
Using the resources that are out there.
There's so much information available, you know.
Like what?
There's industry blogs, podcasts, online forums, artist communities, places where you can connect with other artists, learn from their experiences.
So like a virtual mentorship kind of thing.
Exactly.
Right.
And don't underestimate the power of networking.
Right. Like artists helping artists.
We're all in this together. Sharing knowledge, sharing tips, sharing strategies. That's how we all succeed.
Okay, so to recap, in this part of our deep dive, we've talked about the unique goals of different platforms.
Yeah.
Being aware of how algorithms work, strategic playlist pitching,
Right.
the value of those free platforms,
Yeah.
and using pre-orders strategically.
Lots of great stuff.
But getting your music on these platforms, that's just the beginning, right?
Yeah. The real work starts after that.
Okay, so in the next part, we're we're going to unlock those secrets to successful digital music marketing.
Yes, we are. We're going to talk about how to stand out, how to connect with your audience, how to build a loyal fan base in this wild digital world. All right, let's jump into this world of digital music marketing.
It can seem pretty intimidating, right?
It can, especially when you think about those major labels with their giant marketing budgets.
Right. Like, how can an independent artist even compete with that?
Well, the good news is you don't need a massive budget to make an impact.
Okay, good.
Our source, it emphasizes that hard work and hustle. That's still the foundation.
So the old school values still apply.
They do. Dedication, putting in the effort, that's essential.
All right, so where do you focus that effort in the digital world?
Well, a strong online presence, that's key.
Okay.
And it's more than just like having a website or social media profiles.
Right.
It's about strategically creating your image, making sure it reflects who you are as an artist.
So it's like your brand.
Exactly. Think about it. Your website, your social media, your artist bio, even your album art.
Mm-hmm.
It all tells a story.
So what story are you trying to tell?
Exactly. Ask yourself, what makes your music unique? Who are you trying to reach? What kind of visual style matches your sound?
Good question.
And make sure those answers are consistent across all your platforms.
Consistency is key, right?
It is. You want to create a recognizable brand, something that resonates with your audience.
And it's not just about presentation either, right?
Yeah.
It's about interacting with your fans.
Oh, engagement. That's huge.
Yeah, our source talks about that a lot, like responding to comments, doing online Q&As.
Giving fans that behind-the-scenes content.
Making them feel like they're part of the journey.
Exactly. Show them that you value them, make them feel like they're part of something special.
And that builds loyalty, right?
Absolutely. Loyal fans, they're your biggest supporters.
They're going to be the ones sharing your music, coming to your shows, telling their friends.
Word-of-mouth marketing, that's super powerful, especially online.
Yeah, it spreads like wildfire.
A recommendation from a friend, a positive review online, that can have a huge impact.
Way more than any generic ad, right?
Totally. It's authentic, it's genuine, it comes from a place of trust.
So, okay, we've talked about building that strong online presence, cultivating that loyal fan base. But what about more like targeted marketing stuff?
Oh, there are some really effective tools out there. Targeted advertising, for example.
Okay.
You can reach specific demographics on platforms like Facebook, Instagram.
So you're not just like shouting into the void.
Exactly. You're focusing your efforts, making sure your message is reaching the right people, the people who are actually interested in your music.
Smart.
And then, of course, there's that playlist pitching again.
Playlists, always got to come back to those.
They're so important, and there are so many independent playlist curators out there.
Really?
Tons of them. And they're always looking for new music.
Okay, so how do you, like, find the right curators to connect with?
Well, think about the playlists you like to listen to. Explore Spotify, Apple Music, see who's curating playlists that fit your sound.
Okay.
Then do your research, see what their submission process is, follow their guidelines.
It's like applying for a job.
It is. You want to make a good impression, present yourself professionally.
Make sure your music is a good fit.
And don't be afraid to reach out. Build relationships with these curators.
Yeah.
Let them know why you think your music would work well on their playlists.
So it's all about building those relationships.
It is. And remember, this isn't a one-time thing.
What do you mean?
Music marketing, it's an ongoing process.
Okay.
You got to be constantly experimenting, analyzing your results, adapting your strategies.
And what works today might not work tomorrow.
Exactly. The digital world is constantly changing, so you got to stay flexible, be willing to learn and adapt.
You ready to pivot?
Always be on the lookout for new opportunities.
Don't forget about collaborations either.
Oh, yeah. Collaborations are great.
Working with other artists, bloggers, influencers, that can really help you expand your reach.
Absolutely. Cross-promotion is a win-win. Everyone gets exposed to a new audience.
I think we've covered a ton of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
From the early days of digital music to like this whole complex world of online distribution and marketing.
It's been a journey. We've looked at how independent artists can navigate this new world, understanding the different platforms, building their brand, using effective marketing strategies.
And the big takeaway for me is the power has shifted.
It has. Independent artists have more control, more opportunities than ever before.
But with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to be informed, you got to be proactive, and you got to be willing to put in the work.
So keep exploring, keep learning, keep creating.
And don't be afraid to ask for help.
There's a whole community out there ready to support you.
Exactly. We're all in this together.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into the world of online music distribution and marketing.
Hope you enjoyed it.
We'll catch you next time for another exploration of the music world.